Welcome aboard. On this week's episode, we have Microsoft's ongoing spending spree, some TikTok beef, and we've got a few anime movie recommendations. This is Triple XP. I'm Shane, and as always, I'm joined by my wonderfully grumpy co-hosts, Mike and Cheese.
Wonderfully grumpy indeed.
Wonderfully grumpy sounded like the perfect way to describe us all.
It really is.
We are grumpy, but in a wonderful way, and everyone enjoys it. But yeah, how are you both? Before we go straight in,
not bad. Yeah, tired as always, but yeah, ready to talk about some stuff.
Been thinking about this one for a few days. It's been bouncing around our Twitter as well as obviously the Discord, but the Microsoft just throwing about a bit of cash, reaching in their pocket and going, "Oh, is 70 billion that I had just laying around, and we thought we'd use it."
Just found it in the back pocket, like back of the sofa.
Back in the sofa. They were having a good clean. And we're like, "Oh, is that 70 billion I've been looking for the last couple of days?" So yeah, quite a ridiculous deal. For those that are listening that don't know what we're talking about, Microsoft announced earlier in the week. Well, I don't know if it was them that announced it, but it was announced earlier in the week that Microsoft are purchasing the entirety of Activision for, I think it was 68.7 billion.
Nearly 70 billions.
Yeah, so just a little bit. And although they've still got to go for all the relevant financial authorities and everything, it seems like from the way that they've been talking about it that the deal is as good as done. It's just going to take some time for obviously everything to be finalised. So, guys, I know you've got some points you want to raise on this. I'll leave it to you two.
Yeah, I think we've all got a unique take on this. Like for me, it was initially met with like a lot of sort of cynicism and I was like, oh, is this the right thing for us as gamers? Like, are we going to benefit the most from this, or is it just lying in someone's pocket kind of thing? I was kind of leaning towards the latter of like, it's just billionaires making themselves extra billions further down the line, you know, which is what it is. Like, there's no getting away from that.
That is true.
But yeah, as after speaking to like Jedi and a few other people, I was concerned about like the creative freedom that it would allow people in terms of like sort of if Microsoft is buying all of these studios, then they kind of have to adhere to what Vision's kind of Xbox see, and whether that gives them the freedom to create the games that they want to make, or whether it's sort of you know, it's going to be more business focused and be like, we're just going to pump out Call of Duty every year. But the little bits of information from Big Phil himself, or Mr. Big Dick, from the head of Xbox, he's come out and said like a lot of sort of positive things, saying that, you know, Call of Duty is not going to be, because this was one of the main ones, because it's obviously the biggest, you know, franchise that they've got over there at Activision. That COD wasn't going to be like console exclusive or whatever. It wasn't going to be an exclusive game to Xbox. It was going to, you know, allowed to be cross-platform and stuff like that, which makes a lot of sense for like the players and stuff like that. And there's other like little bits of information and stuff that have come out that have been like, you know, maybe they are kind of doing the right thing, but still skeptic about it. And yeah, so I was just kind of on the wait and see mode now. What about you, Cheese? So,
just before you come in, Cheese, just a quick one. The one thing I will say with Microsoft is that I think they've proven over the years, and I believe Bethesda said this when they got purchased last year or the year before, whenever that was. And obviously they made you'll have to remind me of which one it is, the Elder Scrolls that came out on 360. Was that Morrowind or the one after that? Whichever one it was that was on Xbox only to start with.
Morrowind, yeah. Morrowind.
And I remember an article where they were saying that when they developed that for Xbox, there was no Xbox didn't. Although yes, at that point Xbox didn't own them, they didn't put any like expectations on them. It was very much you build the game, and we just want to supply you with support. And that's how they very much have sold the Bethesda deal. And I think this one's going to be very similar. And it sounds like Microsoft aren't buying these studios up to tell them what to do. They're buying them up to let them do what they do best and then reap the benefits from them. That's what I've seen.
Yeah.
Cheese.
That kind of makes the most sense.
I'm super excited for it, not only because they bought the rights to the Tony Hawk franchise, but I think in terms of like me being a more casual gamer than you guys, like Game Pass to me is everything. And so to be able to have this opportunity where all these games are going to get put on Game Pass, hopefully, I mean, logically that would be a huge reason they would have done this, I would think. Then that's super exciting. I don't give a shit about Call of Duty or any of those types of games, but like the smaller games like the Tony Hawks where they have the chance to revitalize some of these is very exciting. And they've proven, I think, kind of like what you said, kind of what you said, Shane, over the last several years, they've kind of proven that they know what they're doing. And the fact that PlayStation just announced again or reiterated like, hey, we have this this rival to Game Pass coming soon. That they said that like 2 days before this whole big merger. So I think PlayStation's got something up their sleeve. It's coming down to like the Netflix versus the Disney Plus versus the Hulu. Like I know you guys don't have Hulu, but like it's just coming down to like 2 or 3 big companies are going to own everything. And
yeah,
I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing though.
If like for me, that's kind of like a concern because if it's just 2 or 3 companies owning it, then where's the sort of creativity? It's all funneling up to one person, isn't it? Like,
yeah, and there's 2 schools of thought, in my opinion, on this, and I think a lot of the listeners potentially will go for the second school of thought. In that, the first is like you say, it could stifle competition, and stifling competition stifles creativity because you've got nothing to compete against. So why would you put out anything better than what you're already doing? The other school of thought being, well, actually, Microsoft's resources allows the studios to utilize those resources and put that creativity in place, take more risks, have money behind them, have support behind them, and be in a situation where if they start to build a game and they're going, well, how do I make this work with the Microsoft architecture? They've got Microsoft teams that they can go to and be like, look, this is what we're building, but how do I get that from here to here? Which right now they obviously wouldn't necessarily have in their individual studio situations. But you're right in what you're saying with there are concerns around long-term exclusivity. We spoke about this on Twitter recently, and one of the things that I can't see COD ever going exclusive simply because from a player base, it doesn't make sense for the game. It's a game that requires as many players as possible to be as successful as possible. And why would you halve its player base for no real reason? I could see it going on to Game Pass and then being purchased for PlayStation. What I do want to raise though, and this is the long-term concern. Buying up all these studios, fantastic, great. Like you say, bringing them to Game Pass for people like myself and Cheese who are a little bit more casual on the Xbox side. Mike, I know you dip in and out of it as well. Fantastic.
I jump in when there's a decent game to play.
Yeah, definitely. Where is the financially long-term situation with this? Because COD is a big seller for both consoles. It's a big money maker across the board for Activision, selling on both consoles. And if you say, right, we're going to put that on Game Pass, yes, you're going to potentially gain a few more Game Pass subscribers, but they already have an insanely high Game Pass subscriber count. So are we going to see Game Pass go up in price? Are we going to see Game Pass be split into some sort of like tiered system where you get different so a bit like they used to do with the old Xbox Gold, where it's different tiers, access different things? Are we going to see something like that, but for Game Pass, a Game Pass tier system? Because long term, I don't see how this is going to be financially viable for them if they keep putting every game that they purchase on there long term.
Well, there already is 2 tiers of Game Pass, right? There's Game Pass Platinum or whatever, which gives you access on console to console games, and the cloud games or whatever you want to call it, just like PC has.
Mhm.
I think there's two interesting things to think about here. One is Call of Duty, and the other one is World of Warcraft, because World of Warcraft is $20 a month already as it is, or 10, 15. It's 15. I haven't played in a while. $15 a month, which is a lot of money for people that have played it. I know people that have played it for 10 years. That's a lot of money. The other thing is Call of Duty, where I feel like everybody that I know that plays Call of Duty only plays Call of Duty. It's the only game they ever play. They'll dabble in like, oh, we played Fortnite for a weekend, or we played Splitgate once, but Call of Duty is their bread and butter, and they will not deviate from that path in any way. So I guess if you look at it in terms of, is $10 a month better to acquire those people, or 15? I could see it going to 15, and that'd be acceptable. Hi, cat. Or or is it better for them to spend $60 on a Call of Duty game once and play it for 12 months before it's
That's a solid
done?
point.
So just based on my quick math, they'd make twice as much money if they put Call of Duty on Game Pass, given that gives you access to all these other titles. But it's kind of like Netflix. Like, they're able to make all this money and still produce $100 million budget film and put it on there for free. So I think they're probably just taking they've been taking notes on people like Netflix and Disney Plus for a while, and they're probably like, hey, this is our time to do this exact same thing. It's a little terrifying to think that like Disney, Netflix, Amazon, and Microsoft and Google are pretty much gonna, and Facebook, those like 6 companies are gonna own everything. And I think that's bad. Cat. That's bad,
Well,
but I don't think right now we're in any jeopardy of like leaving a golden age of gaming. I think there's lots of good stuff to come, and I think this could be a great step towards like the viewers or the gamers kind of getting what they want.
No, and I agree with you. And the likelihood is Game Pass will increase in price by some capacity.
Yeah.
How much that price increase will be is obviously we don't know, but I imagine there will be a price hike of some description. Interestingly, when this news dropped, I looked into the most profitable studios to see kind of where Activision sat within the top 10 prior to being purchased. So there's the data that I looked at from was from 2020, not 2021, but it gave a rough idea of where Activision sits. And interestingly, they are in sort of like the top 5 or 6. So you've got like Sony, Microsoft, Tencent up as the big boys, and then I think it was actually in 5th Activision was sitting. So there you've now Microsoft is potentially they've just purchased, or they're purchasing one of the top 5 most profitable studios for gaming, while themselves being a slot or 2 above that as a most profitable studio, which is mad when you think about it.
I kind of took a little like a different route, and I looked at like the biggest acquisitions in businesses, and this Activision Blizzard's with Microsoft merger was sitting at about 6th or 7th in the list. And this is companies like medical, things like communication, like Vodafone was one of the big ones. Medical, there's oil that was like bigger, and then it's like gaming is in that bracket of these like huge mergers now. And I think that's just like such a positive thing for gaming in general, that it's becoming this mammoth of a business that can compete with like the likes of oil companies and medical stuff. That's all these like essential things in like things like security companies, things like that. All these huge companies are now competing with gaming in terms of being the bigger boys.
Going back to the subscription likely going up for Game Pass, what would be your top dollar? Like, where would you say, all right, I'm not paying any more than this amount for
So
Game
I think
Pass? If all these games ended up on there, let's assume Call of Duty and World of Warcraft, like 2 huge titles, get included. Because I've played World of Warcraft on and off for 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, and I know that their numbers have struggled throughout time because they take so long to push out content, the expansions and stuff. So it's mostly just like those people who are diehards and only play that game, just like the Call of Duty people.
It's like that with a lot of MMOs. Numbers tend to dip, and then when they come out with content, they skyrocket again, and
Right.
people have to
So
queue.
so that game could be struggling right now. So that could be a huge way to revitalize it. But okay, sorry, your answers.
So this, because this is an interesting one in that, bearing in mind, obviously, I pay for Ultimate, but ultimately I'm only paying for the console because I don't have a PC that can play games. So World of Warcraft would add no real benefit to me, because it's not on console, to my knowledge. Or am I wrong on that? It's not on console, is it?
It's not on console.
No.
But
yeah.
But if it was, oh my
I mean, if it was,
God.
that's a different story altogether. But
Imagine.
right now it's not.
Right.
So there's no real benefit to me from that side of it.
But you already pay more though for the premium, the platinum or whatever, right?
So I pay so it's £11 a month in the UK, which is which is $15 for the Ultimate in
I think
over
I
your.
thought it was like $20 here already, and then the basic Game Pass is like $10.
I mean, I can't say with regards to what it is over there, but I know that I pay £11.
Okay.
So
yeah, that's what it is for the Ultimate, isn't it?
yeah.
So that's the gold subscription and the whatever it is as well.
So is there 3
I-
tiers? Is there gold and platinum?
I don't think we have a platinum, do we? I mean, I don't know. I just pay for Ultimate. That's all I know.
Because there's Xbox Live Gold, isn't there? Which is like paying for the live service. Then there's Game Pass, and then there's Game Pass Ultimate, which is both of those in one.
I think so.
Right. Yeah. So it's £11 a month for Ultimate. For me, even with these acquisitions, I still wouldn't want to be paying more than £15-16 maximum a month. Once we start getting into the £20 a month territory, that's nearly £13 more than I currently pay for Netflix, which is that's a lot when you consider, like, when I consider other services that I pay for. I pay, if it was getting into the £20 territory, that's double the price of Disney Plus. That's more than double the price of Netflix. It's more than double the price of Amazon Prime. And yes, you're getting a different experience because you're getting games. I still think that would be far too much for me, in my opinion.
How many games do you think you pay for full price in a given year?
Not many, because both me and Mike rent from Boomerang. Shout out to Boomerang, as always.
But what if you were able to eliminate
Every episode, please sponsor us.
What if you were able to eliminate that subscription though, to put it towards Game Pass, to have those same types of games right at your fingertips, but it's not just a rental basis. Basically what I'm saying is, with PS5 games being $60 to $70 now, it really would only take you to buy 3 or 4 games in a given year for you to basically pay for Game Pass for like a full year at like $20 a month, which is more than or less than that there, I guess.
No, I agree. And if the Xbox was my only console,
that's true.
$20 a month would be fine.
That's fair.
But I pay £14 a month for Boomerang rental, which I literally only use for the Switch and for the PlayStation, because I've got the S, so it doesn't have the disc tray anyway. And then on the Xbox, I only use the game part. Like, I don't purchase any games on the Xbox. I haven't purchased a single game since I purchased the Xbox. So Game Pass all on that, and then everything else is done through rental.
Gotcha.
So I'm already paying £25 a month, technically £26 a month, just on game subscriptions. And that's where obviously it gets a little bit more difficult. If it was a sole console, though, if all I had was the Xbox, then I'd quite happily pay £20 a month if that was the only thing I was paying for.
That's fair.
Yeah, I'm not sure I can say on recorded, if my missus listens to this, how much I actually spend on games per month.
Mike's like, I'd pay $100 a month and I'd still save money.
But for me, like, just sort of reiterating what Shane said about having multiple consoles and stuff like that, we kind of use it in similar ways. Like, I'm more invested in like the PlayStation ecosystem and the trophies and all that, and like most of my friends are on there. So at the minute, I currently pay for Game Pass and it sits unused, and it's coming out like $10.99 a month or whatever it is, £11. And it's one of those, when it comes out, it's like, oh fuck, I forgot to cancel that again. Like, another month goes by, and then so it's just sat there like that in the minute, and it's providing me no value so far. Because I have a huge backlog. Anyway, go on.
But Skyrim's coming.
Well, no.
Wait,
Well, what I was going to say more is, although right now it's not providing you, when, for example, Overwatch 2 comes out, if that comes straight to Game Pass, that's automatically then going to start making you its
Yeah.
money back, because I know that's
Yeah,
a game you're going to play a lot of.
This is the thing, but again, is everyone going to buy that on PlayStation?
I mean, if it's on
all of the
Game
people
Pass, I
that-
will not purchase it on another console. Why
Right.
would you buy it if it's, and likelihood is, if it's going to follow in games like Call of Duty and Battlefield's footsteps, it's going to be crossplay, isn't it? Like, I can't imagine them making Overwatch 2 in 2022 or 2023 and not making it cross-platform.
I mean, they made number one cross-platform towards the end of its life cycle.
I think so, yeah.
At the
So
very
it would
least-
be madness for them not to.
Yeah, at the very least, everything will be like Xbox and PC compatible, which a lot of them already are. But in terms of like Overwatch becoming, I don't think it'll become an Xbox exclusive, but maybe they would limit that cross-platform. But that'd be kind of dumb too.
I think you're more likely to see perks. So, like, for example, if you're on Game Pass once a month, you'll get a free loot box or something like that. Like something to incite you to play it more on Game Pass, but it will still be available on all the others. But what we do need to see is more cross save and like cross.
Like save it on one console and pick it up on the other.
Yeah,
I agree.
So
yeah, yeah.
Well, the reason I say that, because cross progression, that's the word I was looking for, because the new Yu-Gi-Oh game came out the other day, and that's got cross progression on PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC. So wherever you are, you can pick up from where you were on that game. It's my understanding. I've not tried that yet, but that's my understanding from what I read.
I downloaded that game. I've never once played Yu-Gi-Oh in my life, but you're like, oh, this is free, and it comes with this pack if you have PlayStation Plus. So as soon as you said that, I went and downloaded it because my wife loved playing Yu-Gi-Oh. She still has her deck, and I'm like, all right, I got this for you. I didn't tell her it was free, but I was like, I got this for you. Now you got to try it. So I might have to reach out to one of you so somebody can play Yu-Gi-Oh with her, because I'm not gonna do it.
Oh, I will happily do that. I also have full decks of like actual Yu-Gi-Oh cards currently on the shelf next to me.
Well, I guess I'll have her pack them in her bag if we visit.
There is another small elephant in the room to discuss with this Activision purchase, and that's, although for Activision this is a fantastic time to be purchased, probably not the best time for Microsoft to purchase them, because as we know, Activision and Blizzard both have a string of issues at the moment: harassment cases, sexual conduct cases within their offices, studio misconduct, all sorts of different. Activision's general customer service.
Bobby Kotick.
Yeah, there's a string of issues that Microsoft are going to be picking up, and it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen with that. Like, how are Microsoft going to handle putting Activision in a place that fits with Microsoft's customer-friendly customer service ethos that they built over the last few years?
I think this is one hell of a way to save the image of your company, is to just fucking sell it for billions.
Which, and that's not a new concept at all. I mean, that's happened in the history of businesses in the last 100 years, where these companies are selling. We just watched, there's a documentary on Hulu called I don't remember what it's called actually, but it's about the Von Dutch clothing brand that was around in like the early 2000s, which maybe that was more of an American thing, but I know it was worldwide. I honestly didn't know hardly anything about it, but long story short, they had all sorts of issues. They were getting they were doing $400 million in sales a year, but the counterfeit market was $1 billion a year. So long story short, they basically sold at the peak of their popularity because there was all sorts of weird stuff going on. There was like money laundering and murder and all this stuff, but they just dumped the brand in a sale, and I don't think they really got saved. So this might not be the best example, but the point is it's happened. It has always happened and will always happen.
Yeah, no, definitely. But I think Microsoft is probably one of the few video game studio companies that are in a position to turn around,
bail them out,
the Activision situation. It will likely, I'd imagine, there will be some strategic job movements, I think is the best term to put it. So there'll be some people that will be removed or placed into other positions, or at least completely taken from the public eye.
Yeah.
Like Bobby Kotick, he's the CEO of Activision, isn't he? And he's just come out and literally said, "I'm going to quit when this paycheck comes through." Like, and
And
the
I
way
don't
he's
think that's a bad
handled,
thing for Activision, to be fair.
Well, and I'm sure
No,
he's not. I'm sure he's not getting a small paycheck to leave. So,
no, not at all.
which is kind of
I
annoying
think,
too. Like if you've been found in the wrong for something, you should get more than a slap on the wrist and a giant paycheck. Like that's setting like a dangerous
yeah,
precedent of like, oh, you can do whatever the fuck you want, and at the end we'll pay you.
I
again,
mean,
not a new thing.
yeah, I was going to say
Yeah, well,
this
that's true.
isn't fresh. This is something that's been happening for a long time. Frustrating, but no, as you say, Mike, it's something that really one to watch for the future. But the
Yeah.
big thing, I think, from all three of us really is we just want to see Microsoft do something with one of these because so far they've purchased however many studios, and we've yet to actually see any real like finalized content from anything. We know
Yeah.
obviously Senua Sacrifice 2's on its way, but again, we've seen some clips and stuff, but it's not out. We've not
the most
seen
unnecessary sequel going.
yeah.
And
And I think it's really hard to judge on how well this is going to happen until we actually see something that's come from one of these new Microsoft studios and how it lands and how they're going to handle it and how they're going to play it out. Because at the moment, all we've really seen is them buy a studio and then put that studio's backlog straight onto Game Pass.
Yeah,
That's all that's
Yeah.
happened so far. It's just, we bought Bethesda. Here's the backlog.
Well,
we
shout
bought
out to the
Activision,
boys
here's
at
the
Rare.
backlog.
Well, and this one's such a bigger acquisition that I'm sure that they have to clear some like American, I don't know, some sort of protocol for the whole thing to go through. So they're probably holding off on any news. It's the FCC or the
Yeah, I think that's
the
financial
federal
something.
I don't even know what it stands for. Whatever.
I don't know what it stands for, but all I know is that they're gonna, from what Jedi was saying to us, it's going to be looking at whether it's a firstly, is it a legitimate legal deal? Obviously, that's the first part, but then is it going to be beneficial for the market? Is it going to be beneficial for the industry?
Because they can
Is it a
block it if it's a
monopoly?
monopoly or whatever, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
But I can't see when you look at the amount of studios there are still out there. I
Yeah.
can't see how they can block it. Yes, it's a huge studio that makes a lot of money, but there's still a lot of huge studios out there that still make lots of games. And arguably, if you look back at the last 3 or 4 years, Activision's video game output isn't that high compared to some studios. Like they're knocking out Call of Duty every year, and that's pretty much it. And
Yeah.
I say, and Tony Hawk, but it's not like they're knocking them out yearly. They've knocked out the one.
They just did the remaster, yeah. And I would assume they're going to remaster. Well, there's that new Skate game coming out, Skate 4 or 5, whichever one it is. And I don't know if Tony Hawk's either working on one to rival that, which I'd assume they would be, but that'd be a huge financial risk, or they're just going to plug out like a 3 and 4 remaster and then get into like American Wasteland and Underground and all those. Underground was the best anarchy-driven game ever. So I would hope they would do some of those. They'd be dumb not to at this point because they had so many new games just flop that were just awful Tony Hawk games. But I'm really interested to see what PlayStation's answer to this is because they have that giant anime collection now between Crunchyroll and Funimation, and we haven't really heard anything else new about that for a while.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if, I don't know if there's like a showcase or anything coming up soon that they would announce it at, but I would imagine their Game Pass solution includes access to all of that anime.
So Sony have
it's gotta be.
I think in February, don't they do the PlayStation Indie? They do that like indie event where they talk about all like the indie stuff they're doing. I'm sure that's in February.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sony definitely have something in February. But yeah, you're right. They previously announced that Crunchyroll and Funimation will merge into one thing,
Service.
whatever that's going to be. So yeah, you've got that. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but on PlayStation 5, when you go onto the store now, along the top, where it's got like the you go onto like the recommended or whatever it is, and then you've got FPS and the ones you'd expect, but then it's like Japanese anime games, mecha games, and they're really pushing Japanese titles on on the PS5 at the moment. And I do wonder if if there is another acquisition coming on the Sony side, is it going to be more down one of those sort of studios, your Square Enixes, your potentially like Atlas with regards to Persona 5, something that's more towards their, because everything that Microsoft has purchased, you could argue, is back to their roots, which is FPSs, Bethesda, like things that were big on the 360 days. Are Sony going to go the same route but focus on studios that are potentially more in their route, which is the Japanese RPG side, where they've got some really good ties?
Well, I was going to say Sony's market is really worldwide, and Microsoft is a lot more centralized, probably the US and Europe.
Yeah.
But I think
Yeah.
PlayStation's got a pretty strong hold of the Asian market. So I wonder if that's what they're focusing on. But at the same time, they're not going to piss off half of their. I do this a lot when I talk. When I'm making a point, I lift up my arm. I've noticed that in this episode, and I hate it. I'm gonna just sit on my hands. I can't imagine that they would take that risk, though. I mean, they have to have something in the works, especially now. But I don't know what there is that's left. They're not gonna buy Fortnite, which is what Epic.
They're not going to buy Epic, because that would, I can't see that happening. But there's, I mean, you've got Bandai Namco, Square,
EA, 2K.
Sega. Like there's still some pretty, and I mean Sega's headquarters and Bandai Namco's are both in Japan, I think.
Yeah,
I know Sega's is, so I don't know where Bandai's is. I'm assuming it's Japan. But that's saying that they even have an acquisition. It may just be like you say that they're Sony says, you know what, we don't need these any more acquisitions. We need to focus on putting out a Game Pass competitor. We need to focus on making PlayStation Plus better, because we all know, like, although this month was fantastic with the quality of games, it's very hit and miss. We go some months, 2, 3, 4 months in a row with, to be honest, shit.
Yeah.
And then we get 1 month
over January, and
yeah, exactly.
January.
So between releasing some sort of Game Pass, fixing PS Plus so it's a little bit more coherent, and then, like you say, bringing in this new ownership of anime, there's lots of things that they can do and lots of places they can go. It's just going to be interesting as to how they do it and where they go with it.
Yeah.
And they're running out of time. I mean, people are already starting to speculate with all this Xbox stuff. So I feel like Sony's really got to really has to announce something soon.
Yeah.
I think this year's the year for something from Sony to counteract Game Pass. Everything they've done so far is hinting at that.
It's like prep work, isn't it, towards it?
And Sony's biggest flex, if you will, is that if they can do something that leans on their history, they've got a much longer history than Xbox.
True.
So their history predates Xbox, 5-10 years? I think it's
there was a rumor floating around. There was a rumor floating around that they're going to head towards backwards compatibility, which I think is what you were getting at.
That'd be huge.
With the sort of backlog.
When you consider the PlayStation 2,
and 3.
But PS2 alone had more games. If I remember reading something, it had more games developed for the PS2 than any other console to date still, because it was so popular and so long running and so easy to work with.
I think the Wii was the closest competitor to it in terms of the amount of games that were published on it.
Really?
But yeah.
Well, isn't the PS2 the best-selling console of all time? Then Wii is second.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I don't think Wii was second. Last time I checked, I think Sony held like the top 3 spots: PS2, PS4, then PS1. I think.
But, like, Wii was up there though, wasn't it?
It was quite. It's in the. I think it's in the top 5. Yeah.
Old people were buying Wiis to exercise in their living room. I know people. I literally knew kids. Like when the Wii came out, they're like, "Oh yeah, my grandma got the Wii and has lost 20 pounds bowling in her living room." I'm like, what?
So
just got one massive arm.
So according to some stats I've just looked up on Statista, the PlayStation 2, as we know, top selling. If you include handhelds, the DS and the Game Boy are then second and third. PlayStation 4, PlayStation 1, then the Wii.
Wow.
Then the Switch, then the PS3, and then the Xbox 360. Doesn't include Xbox One or Xbox or the new Xbox console numbers, because Microsoft tend not to publish their numbers, their sales numbers. So it's roughly worked out. And even with the 360, it's only roughly worked out because they tend not to publish them.
Interesting.
But anyway, I think we should probably move on, because that's quite an in-depth conversation.
Sum up some like positive points about this acquisition just before we do move on. It's hopefully going to be a better workplace for everyone that worked under Activision Blizzard and all the shit that went on there. Hopefully Game Pass will just fucking knock it out of the park. and it just kind of remains to be seen like what games are going to come out now. It's an exciting time to be a gamer, and hopefully this new influence from Xbox will just lead to decent games, which is what we all fucking want.
And
Definitely. And there's one thing that will be weird is, I don't know about you guys, but my brain associates, even though I know it's on Xbox, it associates Spyro with PlayStation.
Stop it! I can't do this. Leaves
But
such a bitter taste in my mouth.
yeah, because but they're on Xbox, so that it's not like it's not been on Xbox before. But the idea of it being on Game Pass, my brain's going, but it's PlayStation. But Spyro's never been PlayStation technically. Like obviously back in the PS1 days when it had no real competitor. But
I agree with you. Though. I always have assumed or associated
you just
Spyro
think
with
PlayStation.
Yeah. Just the fact that this Metal Gear Solid is on Xbox. You've got
Crash Bandicoot's on everything.
Spyro, Crash Bandicoot. With the exception of like Metal Gear Solid, that's by the by, but Crash Bandicoot and Spyro being now Xbox mascots is just fucking crazy to me.
Yeah, it hurts my brain.
I don't like it.
Let's just throw Mario in the mix with Master Chief. Why not?
I mean, we've all been saying, let Xbox bring Game Pass to Switch. It fucking needs it. The Switch is not doing well.
Not to go off on
it is doing well.
Not to go off on a super long tangent, but like, what does Nintendo do? I mean, they're definitely a much more casual, family-centric type company, but like, how? They have Pokemon, they have Zelda, they have Smash Bros.
All they need to do is just keep pumping out Mario, Zelda, Pokemon. There's
the thing
three of the biggest franchises going.
Yeah, and Nintendo do what they do best, which is they pump out high quality games, but very few of them, and that's really been seen in this last year of Switch, because I think the Switch has been extremely dry with its games in the last year.
Well, Animal Crossing is kind of keeping them afloat because of all these COVID people that have been stuck in their homes have all bought Switches.
But I was reading an article about the new Pokemon, and the Forbes have done a small review on the new Pokemons and talking about how graphically it's pretty shocking. They're surprised that, well, they're not surprised. They were saying like this doesn't quite meet the standard you expect from Nintendo, and they was basically discussing whether is this down to the fact that the Switch is starting to show its age. In that it wasn't an industry-leading console when it came out anyway. It was already like graphically lower quality than the other consoles, but now you're looking at it's 4 or 5 years old. And if it isn't that, then why wasn't? Because if you've seen some of the pictures, like the textures look awful.
I think it was Jedi that posted the meme in Discord where it was like Skyrim 2012 or whatever. Then it showed the new Pokemon game and it looked like dog shit compared to it.
No, it was Oblivion, which is before Skyrim.
Oh yeah,
so it was an even older game.
And it's a tough one. But anyway, we touched on those last points. So Mike, some TikTok beef you want to bring to the table that I know?
Yeah, you know what? This has kept me entertained for the last 2, maybe 3 weeks. I don't know if you guys use TikTok as heavily as me and to cope with your mental health as much as I do.
I do want to mention that I hadn't been on TikTok in several days. I logged in and had 29 videos to watch that night. It was like 3 days. I'm like, my God. I mean, I've done the same thing to you several times, but I was like, geez, man, calm down.
That's literally every day between me and Mike, just spamming each other TikToks.
Yeah. That's the only way we communicate is through TikTok. But this thing has kept me entertained. There's a beef. There's a TikTok beef between 2 TikTokers, and it was sparked off by a guy called Shay Darina. I think I'm butchering that name probably, and the Vantalord, who are like these 2 TikTok stars. They've got a couple million followers each. But one of them, Shay, he's like a stand-up comedian. He was leaking secrets of like men's secrets basically, and the secret that he leaked was that when you reach into your pocket, you pinch and roll your testicles to like itch yourself.
That's the guy with the gap in his teeth and says, "Follow me, you fucking idiots!" Right? Is that
that's
guy?
The guy? Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know what his name was.
Yeah, it's Shay Darina, something like that. And the Vantalord is the like big guy, and he pretends to iron. Like TikTok's a weird place, but he pretends to iron with just an iron.
It's
and no
only
iron.
weird when you try to explain it without seeing it.
You see it on your feed, like, this is normal. All right, let's watch more. And you say it out loud, and like, well, I did what?
Yeah, but his whole thing is like the Council of Men, and he invites people to the cookout and stuff like that. And so they had like a bit of like a beef between each other. It was like the Council versus the Rogue, and then it just grew and grew and grew to the point where on my like For You page, it was literally every single person that I followed was just adding to this like crazy story of like the Council versus the Rogues, and to the point where it actually reached ESPN. And they did a debate on Comedy Central. It's like hit those levels now where it's just like this crazy
ridiculous
thing. And they've just launched their own website called the Vanta Realm, which it's about all these creators coming together, and I think it's sort of the metaverse type of thing. So I'm a bit like iffy about it, and I probably won't go anywhere near it. But it's a cool thing to check out, I think. If you're into if you're like as into it as what I was in the last 2 weeks. It's kind of all died down a bit now, but the fact that they just launched this website that all these creators can like add to the lore, and they're creating this whole world basically just through just these crazy TikTok memes, basically. I just think it's like just mental how much this took off. Like it was fun for a while it lasted.
Yeah, I saw a few of them, and it was it was comical. And it's like as I say, it's a really hard thing to talk about.
Yeah, unless
being
you're
able
in
to
the
see
know.
it.
Yeah. But just having someone on ESPN saying "Down with the Rogues," like the Council will win, like it's just so crazy, and like this stupid, like it's just men being really fucking ridiculous and stupid, and just playing pretend, basically. Like it's crazy the amount of like TikTokers there was. Like scientists getting involved. There was people who cosplay as like Vikings, and it just spans so many different branches of creators that it's just this cool thing for a while. But yeah, if you don't know what it is, go and check it out on TikTok.
And then get involved. Get as involved in TikTok as we are, and just spend all of your spare time on TikTok.
Send it as memes, yeah.
I've literally
really weird videos, please.
Yeah, I've literally had to put a 45-minute lock on TikTok on my phone. So every day I'm only allowed to look at it for 45 minutes, and then it shuts it off for the day, because I will be in it for hours on end.
Yeah,
and I can't lose that time.
Yeah, I just try not to check it unless I know like I have an hour to lose. Like if I'm at work, I can't check TikTok or I will get nothing done. Cat, you can't be up here.
And that's the thing, though. You say an hour, but you go in going, oh yeah, I'll just watch 1 or 2 videos. 4 hours later, you're like, what is it, Sunday now? What's happened? Where's the last 3 days have gone?
Where's the sun?
I do really enjoy converting people to TikTok when they're like, oh, it's just silly dances and stuff like that. I was like, no. It's way more than that.
It may have started off as that, but it's definitely not in that.
What's this video? And they're like, what the fuck? That's so weird.
That is a real common misperception, because I had the same idea. I was like, oh, I don't want to watch these teenage girls do these stupid dances to Drake songs. But really, that's just like the stuff that's been going viral, like on all social media, like these dance crazes. But once you get in there, your feed is so specific to you that it's terrifying. Like your feed knows you better than you know yourself.
Yeah.
The TikTok algorithm is like you say, terrifying.
Absolutely batshit crazy. And there is no line that TikTok viewers or TikTok posters will not cross. And it's just like, oh my God, you just learned like the secrets of the men, like you were just talking about. Like I guarantee my wife doesn't know 90% of those things.
Yeah,
just like those little secrets, and you're just like,
and she'll never find out.
Everybody does that.
Yeah, but she'll never find out because TikTok will just lead her somewhere else, and she'll never find that part of TikTok.
Exactly.
The only frustrating thing about that algorithm is if you get lost in something for too long, that becomes your new For You page.
Yep.
So a couple of weeks back, I stumbled across some it was basically historical debates. It was one person saying that they just
God.
didn't
Here we
believe
go.
this piece of history,
Ryan's
and
like,
then someone else was like,
"Ugh."
yeah. So there's this woman who basically is trying to claim that Rome never existed, and then there was some actual historians that kept basically just telling her how wrong she was and proving how wrong she was. And I watched like 8 of these videos in a row, and then for a solid 2 or 3 days, my entire feed was just historical debates, and it took ages to get rid of them.
The conspiracy theories is a dangerous one. You gotta avoid, because it sucks you in. You're like, all right, maybe George Bush was an alien. I don't know. They've got some pretty compelling points.
They seem to have evidence that I don't have. So
Well, that's the thing. Like, these people aren't just like spewing nonsense out of their assholes. Like, they have facts, and you're like, okay, this is I can't do this right now. And the thing
I
is with
think
TikTok though is you're only seeing that one side. No matter how crazy the concept is, you're not seeing the other side that might be so more blatant and plain to see. But when they only spoon feed you the conspiracy side, you're like, holy shit, that's real.
well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
They are spewing you nonsense, but it's nonsense that's very well worded.
Yes. Yes.
So you're like, oh well, yeah, exactly. Like all of the presidents clearly are lizard people. Like that must be true. They're all lizard
Well,
people and they eat the homeless. Like that's what's happening.
you heard it here first.
To be fair, on the note of conspiracies, just before we move on to some games, and it was absolutely one of the best things I've ever heard on the radio in my life. About a year or 2 ago, I was driving somewhere and I had the radio on, and I think it was BBC Radio 2. So BBC is like the main radio station for the UK, and it was Radio 2, and they were having like a talk show.
Radio 2
And
is the
no,
one that people like Shane listen to.
no word of a lie there, Mike. And I quote, no word of a lie. They were talking about conspiracy theories, and the question of the day is, are there lizard people living among us? And this bloke up, and he, with so much conviction, was telling the entire nation via the radio how absolutely there are lizard people living among us. Point that as soon as I got to where I was going, I was like, I'm going to have to stay in the car and listen to how this debate comes out now, because I need to know why this man believes so clearly in his mind that lizard people exist on our planet.
Some people
It was
take Doctor Who too literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was TikTok. If you haven't got it, go and download it and have some fun.
Yeah.
But games. Cheese, have you, before we move on to Mike's, I know he's got some games to talk about. Cheese, have you got any games to talk about this week?
I'll talk
No.
about something besides Stardew Valley, but I'm still very much immersed in that world. Not as hardcore as I was, but I've been streaming it a couple of nights a week and playing on my other farm. I just had my first child in the game a couple hours ago. It was a touching moment in my life.
Well, congratulations.
But I went back to Rocket League, which I didn't expect
Ooh.
to. It's probably my third time where I've like left and come back, but we were playing Halo Infinite one night, me and my one of my good buddies, and he's like, "You have any other, like, what else could we play?" I'm like, "Well, Rocket League's free to play." And I think we were both probably some of those people that played it a ton when it came out, like 2015,
Whatever. Yeah.
16, I think, maybe 15 sounds right, but I don't know. And so he's like, "Oh, is it a big download?" And no. So we downloaded it and we played it quite a bit that night, and we've played it pretty much every night since, and that was about a week ago. So it's a lot of fun, and even though some of those people are so damn good at it, there's enough room for beginners because it is a free game that it's still a lot of fun. So it's been nice to revisit that. It's a good change of pace from a shooter game or Stardew Valley or whatever it is I've been playing. So I haven't played Tony Hawk in a while, but yeah, it's just been a lot of fun. It's a good game. They have a battle pass now, which I think they've had for a while. So if you're into like new rims on your car,
when it came free to play,
yeah. So it's
added that in.
it's fun, and I'm glad I went back to it. And you all should download it. We should have a game night.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, TikTok on the brain, but Rocket League is one that I've always got installed because it is that kind of end of the night, kind of game where you'll be like sick of everything else and you'll just have a few games of Rocket League, and it can either be like the most chill time ever or the most stressful time ever, depending on the score. But one of my favorite things to do in Rocket League is just be toxically nice to people.
Oh yeah.
Which, like if you're nice to someone, you will just get reams of abuse, and it's just so funny. Like when I score a goal, I always type in the chat because you like type it in dead quick. Type like yoink or something like really like just stupid, and then you'll just instantly get back like I shagged your mum or something like that. Like, ridiculous. Like it goes from like 0 to 100. It's great.
Amazing.
But yeah. So what have you been playing, Shane?
Yeah, I mean, nothing really. Yeah, I've got nothing to really talk about with regards to games. Obviously, I mentioned the new Yu-Gi-Oh game earlier, but I haven't really played enough of it to talk about it at this stage. I've just done the tutorial. We've been playing quite a bit of Deep Rock Galactic, giving that a bit more of a go. It's been a lot of fun. Really enjoying that. If you haven't played it, it's on PlayStation Plus. You should definitely download it.
Yeah, that's another one that's very kind of chill, and because we've been playing it a bit together, and we got Hazy on board with it as well, and a few other people that have jumped in there. To the point we have now a tab in Discord. That's the level that it's at now.
For this week, it'll be deleted by next.
Yeah.
The thing is, we'll see. Like Rocket League though, it's so quick and easy. Like you can jump in for half an hour and pull off 2 or 3 small mining missions or one big mining mission in sort of half hour, and then be done and move on with the day.
We played it for probably 2 or 3 days with the same my core group, I guess we'll call it, and they got kind of bored with like the monotony of it. But I kind of thought it was a fun game where if you're just kind of Friday night, Saturday night, you're drinking, hanging out, it's a great game to play.
It's not one to power through over like a few days, because I think you would get bored of it quite quickly. Whereas if you're dipping in once a week for a few hours, it obviously adds some longevity to it.
I do have another game. Sorry.
I just want to say that it's very much a game that you have to play with other people.
Definitely.
Like you play that game on your own, it's so boring.
Yeah.
And it does feel like really monotonous, but when you're just hanging out and playing with friends, it's so much better.
Yeah. I was gonna say I do have one more game I've been playing. I've been playing Minecraft Dungeons again, which I played again a couple of times. Those are kinds of games where it's like, oh, I'll play this because it looks fun. And then my brother's like, oh, I just got this game 6 months later. And then it's like, oh, I'll play with you, and then not touch it for 6 months more. And then my other friend was like, hey, let's play Minecraft Dungeons. It's a lot of fun. If you haven't played, it's on Game Pass. It's a fun little game. Doesn't take a whole lot of brain wavelength to like figure it out. You kind of just run around and
it's
kill stuff.
Top down hack and slash thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, a bit like Diablo.
It's a fun little game to play with somebody, and it's on Game Pass, so you have no reason to say no.
To be fair, when I'm playing with people, the games I want to play are ones where I generally don't have to put a lot of brain power in.
Yeah,
because we're usually like being dumb, doing dumb shit, drinking, or like just messing about. Like even First Class Trouble, where you would argue there could be a little bit more thinking in it. We spend most of the time just pushing each other over and shouting like it's for trust. You don't really want to be playing a game that makes you really think when you're playing with a bunch of friends who all act equally as dumb as each other when they're all together on a game.
And I feel like, because we played this a couple of days ago, didn't we? We played First Class Trouble, which is the free PS Plus game a couple of months ago. It's much like Among Us, like the social deception thing.
I wonder what that game was. You guys kept talking about it. I had no idea, but I know I have it in my library then.
Yeah, it's essentially Among Us. It's a lot of fun. It's more fun than Among Us, we all kind of agree, but it's like the player count is a lot less. So it's easier to get games in Among Us if it's like a game night or whatever. But I think with that game, it especially for like a couple of year drinking, you definitely get taken advantage of if you're much drunker than anyone else.
Definitely, but it's funny though. It's a good funny game. Mike, what about you? What have you been? I know you wanted some games you wanted to raise.
So yeah, the main one. I mean, we talked about Deep Rock, which one I've been playing quite a bit. Yu-Gi-Oh came out, which I look at it like this. That game saved me like 40 quid because it came out as a free game, and it was like I keep looking at Yu-Gi-Oh games, being like, I really liked Yu-Gi-Oh when I was a kid, and I'd probably like not play it very often, but it's there, and now it's a free thing. It scratched that itch for me, so that's done. I'll probably
really, really, really infuriating for people like me and you, because I've played a couple of Yu-Gi-Oh games, and like you, I really liked it as a kid. I really liked the show, and I did a tutorial and I've done 3 ranked matches on the game. I won my first one. I was like, okay, cool. You know what? It's not. I'm getting into it. Second one came in, and then that's when all this like modern like link summoning bullshit came in, and I swear,
Yeah.
turn one, I went first. I placed down my card. As you do, you can't attack on the first turn. They placed down, and I swear to God, their turn went on for an entire like nearly 6 or 7 minutes. By the end of their turn, they had 5 monsters that could do 16,000 damage. By
You're
the
there
end
with
of
your
their
one,
first
like,
I'm just gonna
turn,
delete it.
and you
little
start on like
goblin.
8,000, and they just wiped me from the floor in turn 1. I was like, what the
Yeah.
fuck is this shit? But no, it depends who you come up against. I came up against someone else who was very, very, very knowledgeable in the game and had built a
Yeah.
really. Prior to
Like-
that, I came up with someone who just had the starter deck same as me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think for me it's just be a game where I'm gonna dip in, play a few games, and then turn it off. And then
I think it'd be
again,
good to
and
play
then
amongst
play.
each other. Like if I don't know if you can set up custom
Yeah,
matches,
probably.
but if we can do custom matches, that would be pretty fun.
That's something to look into. Actually, that'd be like a
Especially because I
a
have no
better
idea how to
option.
play.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And it is a
great.
complex game as well. Like like each card does something like completely different to another card, and then there's like flip summons and rituals, and
The good thing is the game
much.
explains a lot of it to you as you're doing it. So like
Yeah.
if you're like, oh, can I place down that card? It will kind of highlight it for you to give you an indication whether you can or cannot play it. So the game kind of not necessarily like holds your hand, but it gives you an indication of what you can and can't do each round. So it is a little bit more intuitive in that you can't just throw cards down and be like, what's going on?
Yeah. But yeah, so Yu-Gi-Oh is free. Go buy that because it's a free game. But the main one that I want to talk about now is the fact that I dumped The Witcher. Like I was playing it on stream, and it's too fucking big just for me to stream at least. So it's fucking gone. It's in the bin. I've now decided that I'm stream wise. I'm moving to smaller games from like smaller studios that are not going to take me 200 hours to finish, and that's what I'll be streaming from now on. So I'll be starting my streams now with Crosscode, which is like a sort of pixel art RPG, but it has like action combat. So think of like is it Chrono Trigger?
Right, okay.
Those kind of games. It's like similar to that, but an RPG. So I'll be starting that sort of my first playthrough of that on Monday, which is tomorrow, which will be yesterday as this comes out. And I've been off stream playing. I know, crazy, right?
I can't even like what.
But I've been I started Persona 5 off stream because I need like a game to play while I'm not streaming because I get too excited about the game that I'm streaming. I don't want to play it off stream. So I've been playing Persona 5, which is a long ass game. But I've got more time to play it off stream than I have on stream. So I've been really plugging back into that. About 2/3 of the way through the first dungeon palace.
Yep, Palace.
Yeah, really, really fucking enjoying it. Love the story. Like the writing's so great in it. The characters are so like absorbing. Like they're great. Each one's unique. Definitely glad to have like jumped back into this one because it's been bugging me for a while that I've not played it, not finished it. Because I know Shane, I know you're a big fan. Sarah, who's been on the podcast a few times, she's a huge fan of it, to say the least. So I'm looking forward to possibly, hopefully, potentially finishing this one.
I really
But
hope you do because it's worth it as well. It's worth the payoff at the end.
It'll probably be the only JRPG that I've ever finished if I do, which doesn't bode well.
No, to be fair though, if that is the only one you end up finishing, it's a good one to do that on.
Yeah, that's me. I call myself a Final Fantasy fan, and I've never finished a single one of them.
You're not the only one. I mean, I finished a few, but not many.
I've never
Yeah.
played one, and I have no interest in playing one.
All right,
But-
Grumpy.
I'm just saying. I'll just play Tony Hawk again. It's okay. I know my lane. I stay in my little corner and I play my games.
Well, we were talking about Spyro before. Have you played the third one, Cheese?
No,
The
I
third
don't think
Spyro
I've
game?
finished any Spyro game.
Me
It
neither.
has like a Tony Hawk style mini game where Spyro jumps on a skateboard and like
That
and
does exist.
it's literally the exact like button maps of Tony Hawk's.
All
It's
right,
literally
fine,
like
I'll
playing
play
Tony Hawk.
Just those bits though, not the
right,
rest of the
I'm
game.
writing
You're
it
just going to
down.
play
Yeah.
the skateboarding bit.
Just start on the third one about halfway through when you start get the skateboard.
Spyro 3 Tony Hawk. Okay. It's in the tiny notebook. Now it's gospel.
The comically small.
The comically
But yeah, that's been it for me. That's like my games this week. I've not had much time. I've got a baby on the way, so that's going to drop soon. My latest subscriber.
It's gonna drop soon. Where we dropping, boys?
But yeah, so I may not actually be here the next time we record because I might be.
Yeah, we
busy,
may
but,
have to. We may have to two-man or
someone
get a stand-in. Someone less
Yeah.
less of a grumpy
we'll
old
get a
man.
sub in. We'll get a
then,
sub in.
then my brother's out. That can be confusing for everybody. Or it'd be great.
I mean, I did want this to happen, and I was saying about having you two come on, use the same background, wear the same clothes, and just really confuse everybody.
he's just gonna sit next to me, and then we'll just confuse everybody. It'll be great.
We can just pause the recording, have you two just change outfits, and then continue the recording and see if anybody notices.
We did that one time. We were at a friend's house, and we just changed like sweatshirts and shoes, and they were confused. They're like, "Wait a second, what are you trying to pull?"
Amazing.
Good times.
You're not made of cheese.
But yeah, so when Mike's away, we will make sure that there will still be content. We'll make sure that somebody steps in. We've got plenty of the Triple XP team, and as well as Cheesy's brother, who can all join us and extend the conversation while Mike's dealing with nappy duty and lack of sleep.
I mean, to get a stand-in, all you have to do is get someone that says a lot. You're good.
We just have a cardboard cutout of you, and after every sentence, I'll just go.
I'll just take sound bites from different episodes.
Just build you into it.
Yeah, and we'll just say like, "Oh, what have you been playing lately, Mike?" I just started playing Skyrim again. Okay, great. So it'd be pretty accurate.
So we're coming up towards the end of this episode then, but before we do finalize up, we did actually have a request from the back end of the last episode. So you mentioned Sarah and her love of Persona. Obviously last episode we spoke about some of the winter animes coming, and she requested just a few recommendations on anime films because she was saying that she doesn't have time to watch series. So I put together it's a short list, only 5 or 6 titles.
I'm taking notes
Of some of the films over the last few years. I focused on the last few years, and I just want to clarify to anyone listening, I am not saying that these are the best films out there. These aren't in any particular order, and this is solely my opinion on the films that I have seen. There are other films out there, obviously. But just to quickly run through them.
Thanks for that, Shane-splaining.
Well, no, I just don't want anyone coming at me being like, "Oh, how did you say that's in your top 5?" This isn't a top 5. This is just a selection of recommendations. So
He's so worried about this.
just gotta get this stuff right. Anyway, so Mirai, or I believe. Oh well, I don't know how it's pronounced, but Mirai.
So this is number 1, right?
This is number 1. This isn't the best one. This is number 1. This is a film that came out a few years ago, and it's essentially the story of a 4-year-old boy who gets a brand new baby sister, and it's all about him trying to deal with the idea that the attention's being taken away from him, and it's now being given to this young baby, and it's all a bit magical, and there's lots of fun involved in it. But the core concept is around how this 4-year-old deals with the fact that he's not number 1 in his parents' eyes anymore because they've got to spend their time with the new baby.
How fitting for
it's
Mike.
a really
Mike
interesting.
about to have a child.
Yeah.
But it's a really interesting film, the way they do it, the way they tackle it, and the kind of the steps they take. It's really good.
How'd
and I
you
really
spell
enjoyed it. Mirai.
Mira. Okay.
The second one is a film called Promare. This is by one of my favorite Studio Trigger, and essentially it's quite a bright and colorful film, and it is about a world where there is a huge problem of spontaneous combustion. So there are like these special heroic firefighters that use like miniature mech suits to fight fires, because the people that spontaneously combust become like these they become like they don't just die, they become like these flaming monsters that attack the city, and they have to try and put them out. And it's really well done. It is absolutely bonkers mental, as per most Studio Trigger stuff. But it's so colorful and so well animated, and the storyline actually is a lot of fun. I'm being very careful about what I tell you to keep it spoiler friendly, but it is a
You
lot of
had
fun.
me
And
at
I would
spontaneous combustion. I'll be honest.
I just love
yeah,
I just love how opposite your first two recommendations were. It's like if you took
Oh.
the opposite of that first movie, you'd get the second movie.
Yep. So the third one is Sword Art Online Progressive, Aria of the Starless Night.
Jesus Christ.
This one only came out back end of last year. So Sword Art Online, it does have some 5 or 6 seasons. I can't remember off the top of my head how many seasons it's on now. But ultimately, if you've never seen Sword Art and you don't have time to watch Sword Art, this is a good film to watch instead. It retells the story of the original anime, but from a different perspective. And it tells you everything you need to know so that you can understand and enjoy it without actually having to have seen the anime. So it's a nice kind of middle ground. It follows that standard, like the concept is somebody gets stuck in a VR MMO, and if they die in the game, they die in real life. So it's quite a good one, a lot of fun.
What was the
Great.
convoluted subtitle on it?
So if you just look up Sword Art Online Progressive, that would be enough. The second one of those films is coming out. Aria of the Starless Night.
Okay.
And then the second one comes out this year, but I can't remember what that's called.
I love when titles of movies are full paragraphs.
The fourth one is Josie, the Tiger and the Fish. And again, this a bit like Mariah. This is a much more homely, down to earth story. And it's essentially about a young girl in a wheelchair, and her trying to find kind of how she fits into the world, and like where does she fit, and what the things she's got, the dreams that she has, how can she make them fit in a world when she's in a wheelchair and the world isn't necessarily built for somebody in a wheelchair. It's a really heartwarming story. Really enjoyed that one, and definitely worth a look. So that's Josie, the Tiger and the Fish. Number 5 is Lou Over the Wall. So this is a bit of a take on The Little Mermaid. It's about a town that has there's a cave in some like little watered bit where supposedly merfolk live, and a young boy plays music, and this music allows one of the merfolk to grow legs and come onto land. Really fun little film, very musical, and it's got one of my absolute favorite scenes ever to exist in anime, that involves a how to best describe this, a whale with legs on fire running down the high street.
I mean,
It's incredible. And then the last one is Mary and the Witch's Flower. This is it's a really fun magical story. It's set initially in England, but it's about a girl who basically goes off to a magical land to learn to be a witch. But it's based on, I can't remember the story it's based on, but it's I think it's an old English story that it's based on. Really beautifully animated. By far one of my favorite films that I've seen in the last sort of 4 or 5 years. But yeah, that's it. A quick rundown of some recommendations from the last few years of films that you might enjoy if you enjoy a bit of anime.
Just where can we find these?
They're all over. So some of them are on. So the Sword Art one you probably won't find anywhere right now without purchasing it, because it's still fairly new out. Mirai, Lou Over the Wall, Mary and the Witch's Flower, and Josie and the Tiger and the Fish. I think you can find all of them on either Netflix or Amazon, depending on where you are. In America, obviously I can't account for what they're going to be on. and Promare potentially on Funimation off the top of my head, but maybe not. But again, that one might be more of a purchase. I believe it was on Amazon in the UK at one point. But if you type them in on Google, you'll be able to quickly find whether they're available. But they're the ones I would advise looking into if you've got time.
Yeah, and I don't know if Sarah got mine from last time, but Your Name is a fucking fantastic movie.
I can't find
Your Name
that.
is a fantastic movie.
I tried to watch it the other day, and it was on Funimation, but it said like there are no episodes for this, and then I'm like, what? So then I went on to like a different device and said movie, start watching, and nothing happened. So I don't know if it was.
I know it's on Amazon Prime in the UK, and I believe it's on Netflix in the UK as well. But
I watched it on Netflix in the UK.
It's not on
I don't
Netflix
know.
here. I know that. I'll keep looking because you guys keep talking about it, and I really.
I'll have a look after the episode for you, Cheese, and see if I can find out and let you know.
Okay.
But Mike, I think then with that little quick run through at the end there, that might be the episode.
Yeah, we're done. Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, catch us bi-weekly, so that's every other week on a Tuesday. You can catch me and Cheese. We stream quite a lot on Twitch. Shane, you can catch him, I don't know, rummaging around your bins or something like that.
Probably.
Making spreadsheets.
But yeah, that's been the episode. You can catch all the links where to find us all down below if you're in the episode. I'm going to do that because they do that. Professionals do that. Yeah, anyway, thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
Blair.